there's double me in this room.
So why volunteer at Rogers TV? Well, it's fun, exciting, and challenging. You can develop a wide range of practical, hands-on skills in TV production, make new friends, and have fun, all while giving back to your community. For a few hours a week, you can be part of a great team making great local television. Want to find out more? Get in touch with us. Make your mark and find a new passion as a Rogers TV volunteer.
This is Hollywood Suite. Subscribe to Hollywood Suite today.
The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers or Rogers TV.
Welcome back. You're watching Davidson Live here in Orangeville at Rogers Studios. Tonight's topic is a cheating sport. Does it matter? With us again, we have Steve Howlett, Jack Brooks,
Bill Morrison.
Bill Morrison, and Chris Dickinson. Chris joins us here as well. Guys, let's let the people watching know a little bit about yourself. Steve, why don't you start with yourself?
Well, I'm a former football player in the CFL a long time ago, and you know, I used that to become coach, which I did for the longest time until they told me they didn't want me to coach anymore.
At U of T?
At U of T. I was the head football coach at U of T.
For about 5 years?
For 5 years. And, but when I left that, I went into teaching. So I'm a teacher right now, and in some ways, it's the same thing. You know, what I'm doing is the same, building relationships, helping people to grow, and helping them to navigate this world in some way, hopefully.
Right, right. And we know you've done a great job. And you're with the Durham board. You want to talk about that? You guys are on strike?
Well, my feet are sore.
Okay.
From a lot of walking back and forth. Back
Right.
And, yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, that's
okay,
a different show. That's all I can say.
I was going to try to squeeze that in.
I have to defer to someone else on that issue, yes.
For sure. Jack, we met here in Orangeville as you were my head coach when I was first coached. And tell us a bit about what you're doing now.
Yeah, so I mean, I played ball in Quebec for many years until I broke my back playing football. So that ended a stellar career that I was sure I was going to be like third string offensive lineman.
You were on the way.
CFL.
You were on the way.
Water boy, chief water boy. So instead, I decided to go into computers, and so now I'm a senior IT guy, and I've coached football in Orangeville. Absolutely loved it, and I really see a parallel between what we teach our kids, and I think we're going to get to that, in sport, and how they grow up into adults, and how they perform, and how they work together in a corporate world.
Right. So you're proof that you can play football and be a smart guy.
Yes.
Okay.
Just
There we
too
go.
many hits.
Impossible.
Impossible. Okay.
And an offensive line.
That's right. Bill, you're on the show a couple weeks ago, the Dad Show.
Yeah.
You're back. Bill Morrison, tell us a little bit about your football experience.
Yeah, played a little bit of football in high school, not too much. I was really lucky, got to play down south. Had a scholarship to go to NCAA Division I school in Buffalo, which was great, and then finished up my career collegiately in Canada.
What position did you play?
Never played pro. I was a linebacker.
Right.
Yeah, and coached amateur football up to and including university level for about 15 years.
And just down the street with your dad at Laurier?
Did that a little bit, yeah. And did a little bit of coaching basketball too. But more strength and conditioning with basketball kids.
Right.
But yeah.
Good.
And these days just wellness coaching, mental and physical wellness.
Right. So
for
still
adults.
involved with the kids?
Yeah, a little bit. Actually just got credentialed as an official, so I'm just deciding whether I'm going to referee or coach in the
Well,
coming
hey,
season. So.
There you go. You better not let anyone see this tape.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Officials are needed. Good
Yeah.
officials are
Yeah,
needed.
Yeah.
there's a big
Yes.
shortage, so
for sure.
Yeah.
as you can probably tell.
Right. And if it means anything, people watching tonight, all of us sitting here are credentialed in terms of coaching levels put through by the NCCP. That's the National Coaching Certification Program. Anyways, Chris Dickinson, you're back. Thank you.
Glad to be back.
Glad you
Yeah,
made it.
sure.
Yeah, the traffic was rough.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
So you played hockey.
Yeah, played at the junior level. Not at the top junior level, but definitely some Metro Junior A and some OHA Junior B, and I kind of played the alphabet really. So yeah, hockey I guess is my biggest background, but I got also background in lacrosse, baseball, competitive martial arts, swimming.
So a wide breadth of experience.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have, my parents were just two great supporters of anything sport, and whatever we wanted to try, we dove in head first.
And you mentioned the last show when you were on that
Yeah.
you're Irish Catholic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
How is cheating tolerated in your household?
Oh, Darrin, this is a whole other show
Yeah,
too.
okay.
We can bring up some Catholic guilt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well-
Definitely, no. I mean, if we're talking cheating in terms of, say, steroid use, back when I was playing, it was something that was happening somewhere else. I never was exposed to it. I never saw it,
Right.
or in any of my experience. So it was always something that was happening far away or to someone else or in some other far off land. So
Okay, let's talk about that. So growing up, did you guys feel pressure as a youth athlete, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, to use performance-enhancing drugs? Ever?
Not that young, but absolutely in my late teens, I had teammates that were using steroids for sure.
Yeah. I know, Steve?
Pressure, I would say pressure, but temptation for sure. And
That's-
certainly
yeah.
there's a lot
Better
of my
word.
teammates. Certainly there's a lot of my teammates. I think were using it. It was when I was a football player, it was just around the Ben Johnson situation,
Right.
and
You know a lot of people from that era at York University.
Yeah.
Mazda Club, you trained with them?
yes,
And,
yeah. And I do remember playing for the Eskimos, and our general manager saying to us, our policy on steroids is, we don't recommend it. That was it. That's as firm as it got.
Right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I know in Ottawa, where I played there, they said, if you're doing it, come talk to us. At no point did they ever say, don't do it. And I think, to be fair, they said that because they knew that you couldn't stop someone from who's already using it by saying that. Let's get them in our grips. Let's counsel them. Let's do what we can do. If we can't get them off it, let's make sure they're safe. Right?
So-
And go ahead, Steve. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm former university head football coach, right? I mean, so I specifically told my team, the expectations are that you do not use it.
Right.
As I'm telling you right now, I do not want you to use that. I think it's very, very important to be explicit about that. Otherwise, you're leaving such a gray area, and you're more or less leaving the door open, and I think, in some sense, condoning it. And in a couple of cases, I had players sit across from me, and I asked them directly
Right.
if they were using.
And?
Well, they said they weren't. And I was satisfied with the conversation the way it went. But, I felt that some of my competitors weren't always taking that hard stance. And but that was their choice.
And
I felt it was my responsibility to
Right,
to
so
take
you
it.
ran your team different than, say, the team out west or something.
Yeah,
or-
I mean, I may have been. I mean,
right.
yeah.
Steve, what were the protocols for testing? Like, did they get into tests very often at you? Like,
Yeah, they did. I mean, never had
CIS
anybody
come back?
test positive
Yeah.
in the program I coached. There was random drug testing. So they would drop in randomly and you unannounced.
Yeah.
And it would be when you practiced.
Anyone here get tested?
when I was at Buffalo in '95 was when I was there, and '95-'96 season, the school tested us on a regular basis, and the NCAA
Wow.
tested us twice.
That's unusual.
And the school,
Yeah.
from just speculating, but I think the school's approach was, if anybody on this team, because when the school tested, I can't remember how many guys we had on that team in the program, probably close to 100, and they would test 70 guys at a sitting. And so the school wanted to know, if anybody's using anything, we want to know first.
Right.
And if we catch you, that's one thing. We'll catch you, we'll take you off the roster, you're no longer on the team, and the NCAA won't test you subsequently. And the NCAA did come in a couple of times that year that I was there. It was 2 or 3 times. So it was taken very seriously, and it was nice, I think, it was nice that the school took a really proactive approach. I mean, I know the resources in Canada are not the same.
No, it's expensive, and I think that's unusual.
Yeah.
I mean, when I played AAA in Quebec,
Oh, Quebec.
there was nothing, absolutely nothing. There was nobody talked about it. Nobody testing. I mean, come on, it didn't happen.
Quebec's a different beast.
It is a different beast, and there wasn't necessarily a lot of pressure to use or do anything like that. And I guess maybe it's a whole other topic, but I mean, there was a hell of a lot of pain management that took place. I mean, when I was hurt, I actually went back and played after I got hurt, and they come on.
Yep.
Brooksy, it's time for a shot so you can get back on the field. And it was that finally woke me up and said, well, I'm 19 years old. I can't be doing this to my body.
So, but some people would continue to do it because they have a goal in mind. Steve, you talked about the guys that you played with. Would they have made the pros if they had not perhaps dabbled or used performance-enhancing drugs? I know it's a difficult question to answer, and but
Well, it's a huge edge, for sure.
yeah.
It's a huge edge, and it's hard to say. I mean, because you don't know how many other people are doing it. Would Ben Johnson have won? Would somebody else have won? I mean, we tend to think that they were all using it at that time, right? It's hard to know, and that's why I think a firm stance needs to be on that issue, and things in place to ensure that nobody is.
Right. Chris, we talked this morning about this, and you mentioned. Sorry, I lost my train of thought here. But you had something to say about what Steve was just talking about.
Regarding steroid use?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as we talked, I answered before when he was saying it was so foreign to me. In the hockey world at that time, in the late 80s, I'm more along the lines with Jack, and I saw a lot more pain management than I ever saw steroids, or even brought up. I don't know what the standards are today for testing in hockey, especially at the NHL level or junior level or NCAA level. They may be a little bit behind. Maybe we're a little bit naive in that sport as far as steroid use was concerned. So yeah, it was. I just recall it being such a foreign topic, to be honest with you. And like I said, Jack hit the nail on the head. For me, with pain management abuse, I would have been more privy to that.
Right.
So,
if you knew of guys that you're playing with on PEDs, what was your impression about them? Because I knew some guys when I played. Yeah.
The main performance-enhancing drug that I was exposed to when I was a player was steroids, for sure.
Right.
And
do you let it slide?
They were monsters. I let it slide.
Right.
I never said anything against those guys. I never, at that time.
Are you culpable in cheating?
At that time, and that's a good point. I was actually thinking about that a minute ago. Is that at that time in my role, as a young player on the team, as a new guy to the sport, I only played 2 seasons before I got to play at the university level. So it wasn't something that I was. It wasn't a familiar environment, so I wouldn't speak out against anything that I saw.
Right.
I was just not in the right position.
It's pretty uncommon
I didn't feel.
within football. I'm sure other sports, for players to complain and to point the finger at somebody and say they're cheating. It's kind of a weird phenomenon, even though they're disadvantaged in some way.
It's that schoolyard. You don't tell. You don't tattle.
Right.
For me, it was almost part of the drama and the intrigue and the excitement of the whole environment. There was 1 or 2 guys or 3 or 4, whatever many guys were on the team that you knew were doing steroids, and you'd see these guys turn into animals in the weight room, turn into monsters on the football field.
Right.
and it was kind of exciting. Now, like as a coach, if you want to talk about how we deal with young people and things like that, totally unacceptable. Any player that I know that I coach, if they're taking a performance-enhancing drug, you're going to bring me a clean sample before you ever get on the field for my team again.
Right.
And we're going to make sure that you stay clean. Even if, and I've done this before, and I think Jack mentioned this earlier, if you see a kid on the field doing an illegal technique, an illegal something, committing a foul more than once, where they're making a habit out of it or they're making a game out of it,
right.
I'll sit them. And in football, there's no penalty box, but on my sideline, if you're going to keep behaving that way, there is a penalty box for you, and you're going to sit, and you'll sit for the rest of the day, and I don't care who you are.
Is that part of a value system?
Absolutely.
That you have to have?
For me,